Freshwater Fishery Society of BC, Go Fish BC on Shaw TV with your host Brian Chan from the Freshwater Fishery Society of BC. Go Fish BC is brought to you in part by Freshwater Fishery Society of BC, River City Marine, and Surplus Herbies.
Welcome to this week's episode of Go Fish BC on Shaw TV. We're fishing at the mouth of the Adams. We just saw a beautiful fish being released, a beautiful rainbow trout. We're in a catch and release zone at the mouth of the Adams Little River, where anglers are targeting beautiful rainbow trout, bull trout. And again, it's a catch and release fishery for trophy fish like we just saw. The fishermen are fishing here because the Adams River is dumping out sockeye fry, chinook fry, and there's also sockeye and chinook smolts are going to be passing through the area. So the fish congregate, the rainbows and the char congregate at the mouth of the Adams because it's a natural gathering point for food. You can see how well conditioned that fish was. That's a result of that significant sockeye salmon return to the Adams River. It was a record return last year. And when they're feeding on eggs, carcasses, and now the fry of those sockeye, the rainbow trout and char get very big. So hopefully we'll get a chance to catch one of those big fish today as well. Stay tuned. The fish are feeding on sockeye fry, sockeye smolts, chinook fry, chinook smolts. So we're using bait fish imitations, something like muddler minnows or variations of muddler minnows like this, or to imitate the smolts, and then the smaller fry patterns that, and other bait fish patterns to imitate the fry or the smolts that are coming down the river. Normally what you see out here is the fish will come up to the surface and they're chasing the fry or the smolt, so you see where they tell you where the fish are because they're balling up the fry or the smolts and then they're eating them. So a lot of times you can fish with a floating line and a fry or a smolt pattern. Otherwise we're fishing sinking lines, and here right now we're anchored at the mouth of the Adams and we're casting these bait fish imitations, the fry or the smolts, trying to entice these nice rainbows and bull trout into biting. So it can be a very exciting fishery, and it all dependent on the movement of the fry and the smolts down through the river systems that interconnect the Shuswap and Mara lakes. So this whole fishery is driven by how productive or the numbers of sockeye and chinook that are returning from the ocean each year. Oh, that's a beautiful fish. So after all those sockeye and chinooks die, they fertilize the river and the lake. They provide a lot of nutrients to sustain all the other fish life in Shuswap Lake. So having healthy, sustainable sockeye and chinook populations that reach the Thompson River drainage is really important to the whole or the entire ecology of Shuswap Lake. It's getting a little rough on Shuswap today. So it's probably going to put a halt to our fishing activities near the mouth of the Adams. The wind is really picking up, and we got a rain shower coming down the lake as well. So although we didn't catch any fish today, or I didn't catch any fish today, you saw the quality of the fish that can be caught out here at the mouth of the Adams. And this is during the July period, late June, July. And remember that this fishery also goes in the fall when the sockeye and the chinooks return to the Adams, and the trout and char congregate at the mouth of the Adams looking for eggs, for the salmon eggs that drift down from the redds that are being dug in the river up above. So it's a very seasonal fishery out here, but it can be an incredible resource for the angler. And it's big water, so when you come out here, make sure you're prepared and you've got a good motor so you can get back to the boat launch safely. But it's certainly a fishery that's worth trying. One of many hundreds of great fisheries in and around the southern interior region, and certainly in close proximity to Kamloops. So we look forward to seeing you next week on another episode of Go Fish BC on Shaw TV.
Freshwater Fishery Society of BC, Go Fish BC on Shaw TV with your host Brian Chan from the Freshwater Fishery Society of BC. Go Fish BC is brought to you in part by Freshwater Fishery Society of BC, River City Marine, and Surplus Herding.